What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for yet another Tottenham update where we're going to see what has happened in the last, well, I usually say 24 hours, but it's been over the weekend of Tottenham action, and see what kind of things we found on social media and in the news. We've got some transfer tidbits to talk about, and we've also got some quotes to go through as well, which I thought were very interesting. Just before we get into it, do go to our website, WeAreTottenhamTV.co.uk, where you get your latest Spurs articles and also some brand new merchandise on there as well, which is flying off the shelves at the moment. But let's get into the Tottenham update, and let's start off with some transfer talk, and we're going to go to Nico Williams out in Atletico Bilbao. 90 Minutes reporting that Tottenham are closely monitoring the situation of Athletic Club winger Nico Williams ahead of the expiry of his contract in 2024. Williams has announced himself as one of the continent's finest young wingers over the last couple of years, terrorizing La Liga defenses with his tricky dribbling and searing pace. And he could be actually one of the most perfect Ange Postecoglou wingers, couldn't he?
Yeah, and I was a massive kind of advocate of bringing him in the summer when we had a really good opportunity with 1 year left on his deal. Maybe you could get a good price for him. Obviously, we're running the risk now. His contract's running down. That a lot of more clubs are going to be more interested in bringing him in. But I think he's like the perfect kind of winger for what Postecoglou wants to do with his wingers. First of all, there's a spot open, in my opinion, on that left-hand side. Solomon's obviously got a long-term injury. Richarlison is flattered to deceive, albeit performances have been improving a bit. Brian Hill hasn't played much either on that left-hand side. So
got Brennan as well.
There's Brennan, but yeah, he's played on the left. I see him.
He's only played on the left, hasn't he?
True, he's only played on the left. But I think he's definitely more naturally in his career been on the right. But for Tottenham, he's played on the left predominantly, so there's also a spot there. But I think Nico, what I think we're lacking in our wide areas is proper one-on-one domination in like dribbling. And I feel like someone who's really elite at taking on their fullback and like more often than not beating them and really striking fear into their fullback. And we don't really have a winger right now who's like that. I feel like Nico Williams will be perfect. He's really starting to improve his output as well. Got loads of goals and assists last season. Already this season has 5 assists for Athletic Bilbao. So already this season, so he's really starting to provide for the team. He's still young. I think 22, 23 years of age. Very young winger as well. I think it'd be perfect, and I think he would be really help complete the puzzle of this team having a winger like him in there.
Yeah, and it kind of backs up what Ange was saying. I think after the last game or before the last game, saying, that front line is the area that we need to improve at the moment. And the midfield looks good, the defense looks good, the goalkeeper looks good. It's just that front line with what quoting Ange Postecoglou, unnatural movements and not exactly the way that we exactly want to play just yet. So look, I agree. I would completely welcome this move. But let's move on to the next potential transfer. And this is regarding Toni Kroos. And apparently Toni Kroos is sounding out the possibility of finishing his career in England. He wants to continue playing in the Champions League, and his representatives will sound out Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, and both Manchester clubs for a potential transfer.
Yeah, Toni Kroos at Tottenham, a part of me would be like, yeah, why not? It'd be nice to see him in a Spurs shirt. He's very used to playing in white. I still think he's got a lot to offer. I don't think he's completely gone. His legs are completely gone just yet. But I don't see where he fits in. Maybe you could say he fits in the number 6 position, but I don't see him having the legs to cover enough ground to be as defensively sound unless he's got the protection near him. Could his experience be of use to us potentially? I guess I compare it to maybe the Jorginho signing for Arsenal. Just brings in an experienced head and an option, but considering he'll probably want really big wages, considering how we're playing as a team, I don't know if adding, a 36-year-old, 37-year-old?
34, 33.
Is he? I thought he was older than that.
33, yeah.
He's only 33. Okay. Maybe then.
No, not for me, man.
33?
Not for me. I think we're fully stocked in the centre midfield positions. He can't get a look in for Real Madrid, albeit that's because of Jude Bellingham and what he's providing at the moment. But nah, not for me. 33 years of age. I think he's past his sell-by date. This stinks of like a Manchester United transfer to me. Like, I can't see him joining us or Ange Postecoglou. I don't even think Ange would want him, to be honest. At 33 years of age, if this was 5 years ago, then yes, 100%. But now,
5 years ago, we couldn't get him.
Yeah, but now I don't want him. I really don't.
if Ange wants him, I mean, and he thinks he can add experience, I'm not against it. I thought he was older. I thought he was similar to Modric, but maybe he's obviously clearly a bit younger than that. We've seen it before where you add a bit of experience into a very young dressing room. It can really help with the dynamic, but I don't see where he fits in. Like, I don't know if he fits in the number 6 position. I don't look. Clearly, he's not going to come in as a starter. He'll come in as like a squad player, but I don't know. I don't see him as a number 8 either. So I don't know. I don't know where he fits in the team.
According to the reports, I mean, none of these clubs are actually interested in Kroos. It's all about Kroos trying to tout himself out to these kind of clubs.
That makes more sense.
Look, we'll see what happens, but look, if Ange wants him, then I'm not going to argue with it, and I'll be happy with the signing. But before we know about what Ange wants and what doesn't want, for me, I wouldn't want this transfer to happen. But let's talk about Bryan Gil now. As Dario AS claimed that Ange Postecoglou did not give the green light to Bryan Gil leaving on loan in the summer, as he likes the player and was waiting for him to recover from injury before integrating him back into the first team. And that's
interesting.
That's really nice to hear, actually, because Bryan Gil's always been like a kind of last thought of this football club. Never really seemed to knuckle down a first team spot, and even when he has, he got loaned out straight away. And I always said that I thought Bryan Gil would be a proper Ange player, and he's a player that Ange would really appreciate and maybe can kick on under the new manager. And it's great to hear that Ange very much values him.
Yeah, but actions speak louder than words. I want to see him.
He's only been back fit for a game.
I know, but I want to see him. I'm not saying like he hasn't shown that he likes Hill. I'm just saying I want to see it. You know, I want to see it on the pitch. I want to see him getting minutes. I want to see him getting opportunities.
Came on the last game.
Did come on the last game. So I want to see Bryan Gil in this system more consistently and what he can provide. He's going to have some opportunities now that we have injuries, and there should be some opportunities for him to get some minutes and prove himself. I think from a kind of profile point of view, the way Bryan Gil likes to play, he's quite good in one-on-one duels, and he's quite a tricky dribbler. He's obviously got good technical ability, good left foot as well. Obviously, there's always been question marks over his physical attributes, whether they're right for the Premier League. But I want to see him get an opportunity, because I really do think he can fit in on the wing in Postecoglou's system. And I think he's a forward-thinking player as well, very offensive, like quite creative in the final third as well. So if he gets an opportunity, I think he should have more joy than previous times he got opportunities.
Yeah, and I feel like he's a very aggressive player as well, and that's exactly how Ange wants them. Creative, aggressive, non-stop running, and that's all the attributes that Bryan Gil does have. So I really think he can thrive under Ange, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. Long season ahead. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for him, so let's see how he does.
And I'm happy he didn't get the loan move as well, because I think another loan move doesn't help anyone.
Yeah,
it just makes him in limbo even more, and hopefully he gets an opportunity now.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's talk about these interesting quotes from Victor Osimhen. Was asked who the hardest defender he's ever faced was, and this is a direct quote, and he says, Christian Romero was really the most difficult defender I have faced. The first time we met, I was impressed by his speed. I experienced very, very intense duels against him, and I was shocked. So there you have it.
And that goes to show how good Romero is, and when you got opposition players talking about him like that, we know Romero. He's got so many facets to a game. His aggression, his speed. He's great on the ball as well. And for someone like Osimhen saying how, complaining about aggressive, who's a strong player himself, he's quick and he's strong. Like, he's been known to be one of the quickest and strongest players in Serie A. And so if he says Romero is even quicker and stronger than him, then like he must be serious ability.
He must be seriously quick and strong.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So great quotes there from Osimhen, and Romero's been unbelievable this season. I think he's really starting to show everyone that last season just was, I wouldn't say a blip, but it wasn't the real Romero.
Let's move on. We got some more quotes. I don't usually listen or take a note of what this next guy usually says, but on this odd occasion, then maybe we can make an adjustment for it. As Arsene Wenger has been speaking about Tottenham live on TV the other day, and this is the quote. He says, I like always to say what I feel deeply, and I believe Tottenham will be one of the contenders for the league. They bought Maddison, who is a great player, and who is the link from a low midfield to a high midfield, and added some technical creativity to the team. They bought Van der Ven, who I find exceptional. I find him absolutely exceptional. They had weaknesses there at the back last year. Lloris didn't have the best of seasons as well, and overall the movement from Son into the middle looks very good. Well, You know, I actually brought you a couple of weeks ago the quote from Martin Keown saying how much like the impact that Ange has had in such a short time was similar to that of Arsene Wenger, and they have a bit of similarities between them as they both managed in Japan, and not many fans knew who they were coming into this league, and they were both a little bit clowned on as well coming into this league, and they both hit the ground running as well. But I guess as much as we don't like to admit it, as much as maybe we don't like Arsene Wenger as a Spurs fan, he's definitely someone that knows how to win a title and knows how to get the best out of his players.
Definitely. But what I love about that quote is the first line. He's like, I need to say what's true in my heart. It's like really gritted teeth. He's like, Tottenham might be challenging. Like, he didn't want to say it, but he's like, I need to be true to myself. I can't lie.
Off air, he would have been like, this would have never have happened in my time.
Yeah, exactly. Clearly. But look, last season is interesting because I remember Wenger was talking about Tottenham last season under Conte, and what he said really rang true to me. He said last season, Tottenham could only play in one pace, and that was quick and direct. And he said they didn't have enough pace in the team, and that was two of their big weaknesses. He sort of thought of Tottenham last season, and that was absolutely spot on, especially in hindsight and at the time. I think people could point to those two things being absolutely true. Clearly, this is a guy who knows what he's talking about when it comes to football. And if he's saying these kind, I don't think he will say these things flippantly.
No,
I don't think he would, because he more than most would have seen teams who have had good form and stuff like that, and he would have seen it all before. Right, a team who's had a good start to the season fall away and stuff. So if he's saying like from what I'm seeing, I think Tottenham could actually be challenging, especially because it's Tottenham. He probably wouldn't want to admit because it's Tottenham as well. Like, I think there's something to be said for that. I don't think he would say that lightly.
So do you believe yet?
Maybe. I don't know. Look, we are having a great. I'm not going to say we're going to win the league. We're having a great season, and that's all that counts. We're having a great season, and I'm here every step of the way. And maybe he's taking Ange's advice. I'm not going to say it. I'm not saying it just yet. I'm not going to jinx it all. Going to come back to this.
Josh King is watching you.
Exactly,
he's watching.
Exactly.
We've got some quotes from Emerson Royale in quite an interesting interview. I've picked out 3 of the quotes, so we'll take it quote by quote. And the first one was on the fan criticism at his start of his Spurs career, and he says, I've always been a guy who has had a lot of confidence in myself and my work. The fans, narrator, commentator, and whoever is watching don't know what I do every day. They don't watch my training. They don't know the work I do at home. I know who I am. They criticize me a lot, but I didn't listen. Obviously, there's no way I could escape it because it was in front of me on social media and in the stadium, but I knew my potential. I believe that in a situation like this, you have 2 options. Either you victimize yourself or you turn things around, and I've always been the person to turn things around, and I think that's exactly what he has done, to be honest. Yes, he hasn't had too much minutes, especially from a starting role this season, but I feel like the narrative from the fans now is completely different now to what it was back then when he was getting kind of like victimized and pretty much being used as a scapegoat. But he did put in a few pretty poor performances, not going to lie. But I think that's really good words from Emerson. And I think that he's right in what he's saying. You know, a lot of people don't see what goes on behind the closed doors, because he actually did put a lot of money, of his own money, behind kind of trying to make himself better, hiring his own coaches, hiring his own nutritionists and all this kind of stuff. And maybe that is not the only cause of it kind of helping him improve, but it's probably definitely a factor.
Yeah, probably. But all fans can judge on is what they see on the pitch. Obviously, there's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors or happen in their own, during the week and in training and in their private life that we're not privy to. We don't know what's going on. But for me, I honestly, in his first, I would say, 18 months, I think the performances were not great, especially from the job he was asked for as a wing-back in Conte's system. He definitely wasn't suited to it. I always disavowed. I didn't like any of the booing when he was on the pitch, all that kind of stuff, even when he wasn't playing well. I don't think it helps anyone. I don't think it's a good thing for fans to be doing. You're fans, you're supporting the team. You're not supposed to be booing players when they go off the pitch just because they haven't played well. He's always been a player, whatever anyone says, that's given 100% on the pitch. I don't think anyone can deny that. And now for the last 6 months, I think probably from January last year, he had some really good performances, started playing a lot better, albeit I would say still wasn't perfect for the role, but much better performances than before. And now it's a situation where he's been out, I wouldn't say ousted from the team, but he's lost his place to Porro because Porro is a better technical player. And that's reality. And if he wants to win his place back, He has to improve his technical ability. He has to improve his passing. He has to prove how he is on the ball. Not to say he doesn't have his qualities and he isn't a good player in his own right. And I think fans now appreciate his qualities a lot more than they used to and what he is good at rather than what he's not good at. But unless he seriously improves his on-the-ball ability, I don't see him winning his place back anytime soon.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that competition with Pedro Porro, because he has been speaking about that as well. And what he says is that I'm completely professional. It's healthy competition, which we enjoy. Even though I'm not always playing, I'm strong. And when the coach needs me, he can always count on me. I have the ambition to seek my position again and keep Tottenham at the top of the table. And I believe that this season we have a great chance of staying in the fight for the title.
Wow. He's already talking about it, so already the talk is seeping into the dressing room, it seems, because everyone has played it down really, but he's like, oh, okay, maybe we have a chance, which is interesting to hear. But
I like the confidence though.
And I do like it, and I like the fact that he's, I'm ready when called upon. He's confident he can win his place, and I'm rooting for him. I hope he can, and I hope he can improve to level. I want him to improve, be better than Porro. We'll all be better for it. Yeah. I just haven't seen any evidence of it just yet, but hopefully next time he gets to start, he can prove everyone wrong.
And last but not least, he's talking about Cuti Romero, and the question was if he's ever gets banter about Romero walking around with a World Cup, and obviously he didn't win the World Cup, but he did lose in the. He actually played when Argentina beat Brazil in the Copa America final, and they were asking if is there any banter between the two in the changing room, and he laughed and he said every day he has a tattoo on his calf from the World Cup and the Copa America Cup, which I played in the final. So every day he passes by and plays, asking to apply cream on his tattoo.
That's the most Romero thing I've ever heard in my life. That's classic. I imagine every day, to be fair, doesn't surprise me. The character Romero is, he's probably rubbing it in every
whilst
chance
hitting
he gets.
him, probably.
Exactly. Bet you don't have a Copa America, do you? I love it. Absolutely love Romero.
Just go apply cream to my tattoo.
Every time Emerson concedes a goal in training, he probably says that.
Yeah, go apply cream to my tattoo. It's brilliant. And last but not least, let's talk about Alfie Devine, because he got a goal for Port Vale this weekend, albeit in a 2-1 loss to Cheltenham. But he started and played very well. 1 goal, 2 shots on target, 1 key pass and 2 fouls won. And I'll tell you what, if you haven't seen the goal, go have a look at it. A bicycle kick at the back post, which was very much of high quality.
Yeah, great finish. Right into the top bins as well. Hard to stop. And he seems to be doing well at Port Vale, having a really good loan spell. And it's really good for him to build this confidence and show that he can perform at men's level as well. It's not easy, even in League 1 is it? Or League 2? I can't remember.
League 1.
Yeah, even in League 1, for a 19-year-old to make an impact like that is not easy. So fantastic, and he's got the confidence to try these things, and they're coming off at the moment.
Yeah, so look, he's not starting every game, but all he can do is make an impact when he does play, and he seemed to have done that. Yes, it was a loss, but I think it was a top performance from Alfie. So more to come, hopefully, and less can be said about Dane Scarlett, really, because he's not really getting a look in at the moment at high-flying Ipswich, and it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? I mean, it's not a shame that he's in a really good side, in this Ipswich side at the moment, but the fact of the matter is he's just not doing much.
Yeah.
Not getting a chance.
I know, it's different. Maybe it's something we revisit in January.
Yeah, it could be. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Go to our brand new website, WeAreTottenhamTV.co.uk, where you'll see all our articles and merchandise. But thank you, everyone, for watching today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.